Hello, today we will be learning about zero and negative exponents. Go ahead and add zero and negative exponents to your table of contents. I'm on page 51 and 52. Okay, we are in Unit 3. Our objective for today is to simplify expressions with zero and negative exponents. Our essential question is, how do I solve expressions with zero and negative exponents? So go ahead and pause the video and have all that written down. All right, the first one we are going to look at is zero as an exponent. Anything raised to the exponent of zero is always 1. So a to the 0 exponent is equal to 1. A lot of people think it's 0, so be careful with that. It is always 1. So, for example, 7 raised to the 0 exponent is 1. Negative 5 raised to the 0 exponent is 1. 3 and 72 hundredths is 1. Even products raised to the 0 exponent is a 1. Now, number 5 is different. Only b is raised to the 0 exponent. So this is saying a times 1. So this would be a. And then over here, number 6, this is saying negative 1 times 1. So this would be negative 1. The reason 5 and 6 are a little different is because the whole thing's not raised to the 0 exponent. Okay, let's take a look at negative exponents. Negative exponents really mean the number is a decimal or a fraction. It's a really small number. So what we do with that is we essentially flip it. So when we are simplifying exponents, we can never have a negative exponent. We always want it to be positive. So in order to turn it positive, we move it to its opposite, or its reciprocal. So this would become 1 over a to a positive n. Okay, so because it just simply means it's a fraction or a decimal, a really small number. So if I'm looking at number 1, I have 3 raised to the negative 4. So I tend to always turn it into a fraction and then flip it. So this would become 1, 3 to a positive 4. The reason we flip it is because we're turning that exponent positive. So now I have 3 to the 4th power, which is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. So we can use our calculator for that. And you should get 81. So we're going to simplify this to 1 over 81. Okay, number 2, we have negative 7 raised to the negative 2. So that means that negative is included. So I'm going to flip this. So it's going to become 1 over negative 7 to a positive 2. And we can simplify that to 1 over 49. Okay, we would also go the other way. So if our negative is on the denominator, we're going to flip it to the numerator. So this one would become negative 4 squared over 1. Okay, we don't actually need to keep the denominator as 1, but we can simplify negative 4 squared. So that would become a positive 16. Okay, this next one is kind of the opposite. We're going to turn it into a fraction and then flip it. So I get 1 over negative 4 squared. I can simplify negative 4 squared to 16, so this becomes 1/16. What's the difference between number 4 and number 5? Well, the difference is that in number 4, the negative is being squared. In number 5, the negative is not being squared. So when I switch this one, only the 4 is going to move to the bottom. So this is going to become 4 squared, and negative 1 is going to remain on the numerator. So I get negative 1 over 16. So that's the difference. Okay, that negative is on the outside, so be careful with that. Okay, and our last one here, this is going to become 1 over 9 to a positive 1. Remember, we don't need to write the 1, so we can just say it's 1 over 9. And that's as simplified as it can go. Okay, so let's work on some mixed practice here. So I see a negative exponent, so I need to switch that and turn it positive. So this is going to become 1 over 7 squared, which is the same thing as 1 over 49. Now I see 13 to the 0 power. Anything raised to the 0 power is 1. I see negative 5 raised to the 0 power, but notice that negative is not in parentheses. So this would be negative 1 times 1, or a negative 1. Number 4, I see a negative exponent, so I need the reciprocal here. So I'm going to flip it 1 over 2 to the 5th. So that means 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 raised to the 5th power is 32. So this would become 1 over 32. Okay, note that only the y is raised to the 0 power. So this is saying 7x times 1, which is 7x. I have a negative exponent, so I need to flip that. So this would become m to a positive 3 over 1, or just m to the 3rd. Okay, go ahead and pause the video and do as many of these as you can, and then we'll go over them and see how you did. Okay, let's see how you did with these. So in number 7, I see a negative exponent. So that means that's going to need to be moved to the denominator. So to simplify this one, the 5 stays, and the d to the negative 4 is going to become d to a positive 4 on the denominator. Okay, in number 8, I see a negative exponent. Then I also see an exponent of 0. So I'm going to need to move that m to the negative 7 to my denominator, so it's going to be a positive 7. And that n raised to the 0 power is going to become 1. So this would simplify to 1 over m to the 7th. Okay, I see another negative exponent here. I don't need to worry about that f to the 5th. So now I just need to move e down. So f to the 5th is going to stay where it is. E to the negative 3 is going to move to the denominator and it's going to become positive 3. All right, number 10, I need to look. Can I reduce my coefficients 3 and 5? Nope. A and C are fine, but B to the negative 8 needs to move to the denominator. So when we have more variables and coefficients, we just focus on what needs to change. So 3A and 5C stay exactly where they are, but B to the negative 8 is going to move to the denominator and is going to become a positive. So this would simplify to 3A over 5CB to the 8. All right, number 11, I gotta look to see what I need to move. So I see a negative exponent, y to the negative 7 is gonna need to go down. Z to the negative 3 is going to need to flip to the other side. And then x raised to the 0 exponent needs to become a 1. So let's write that all out. I'm not doing anything with 9. And then I see that's going to be multiplied by 1. I recognize that z to the negative 3 needs to move to the numerator to become positive. And then y to the negative 7 needs to move to the denominator to become positive. So if I multiply 9 times 1, I'm going to get 9. And then I can't reduce anything else. So z to the 3rd over y to the 7th. So that is how that simplifies. Okay, and this last one here, I need to turn this into a fraction. I recognize 2 to the negative 3 needs to move to the denominator. I also recognize that n to the negative 9 needs to move to the denominator. So m to the 5th is good. I can leave that where it is. I'm going to move 2 to the negative 3 down, so it's going to become 2 to a positive 3. And I'm also moving n to the negative 9 down, and that's going to become a positive. So now I need to look, can I simplify anything else? Yeah, that 2 to the 3rd. So I get m to the 5th over 2 to the 3rd means 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. And then n to the 9th. Hopefully you did okay with that. If there are any questions, please make sure you get them answered. And at this time, you are ready to move on to your assignment for today.